gatherings like this we're going to be having over the next couple days, we wanted to, as we have been from the beginning of this process, to be as transparent as we possibly can, to give the folks who will be affected by this convention, affected by the traffic, an opportunity to not only see what is involved in this, to see the depth of the preparation for this, but just to let them know in advance what to expect. We knew when we agreed to host this convention that there would be challenges, that there would be inconveniences. We are a mid-size American city hosting a major international event, and this is bigger than anything that we have ever done as a community. All those Super Bowls that we've hosted pale in comparison to the magnitude and the complexity of this event. And so for us, we tried from day one to push out as much information as we can to make sure that everybody in this community knew exactly what was going to be involved, exactly how to prepare their lives for any inconveniences that they may have. And this is one more effort to do that as we start to see road closures happening around the community. What we're going to do today, very briefly, is to just talk about some of those road closures, let people know what to expect, let people know how to plan their lives. Obviously, what we would stress to them is that they take extra time if they have to move around town, particularly if they have to move around in the downtown area as they move to work, as they go about their daily business. We couldn't have done it without a tremendous number of partners. One of the partners that has been working hand in hand with us from the very beginning is the Florida Department of Transportation, and joining me here right now is the Secretary for this particular region, Don Skelton. So Don, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And on behalf of the Florida Department of Transportation, we're excited about the challenges that hosting the Republican National Convention brings to us. As the Mayor said, this doesn't come as a surprise to us. We've been doing a lot of planning all along the way. We've been working with our partners, with the City of Tampa, with the security, both sides of the bay, the security on the Pinellas County side, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, everybody in anticipation of this event. We've got a lot of communication. We've set up our traffic information command center with the city, so there's a lot of close coordination that's going to take place. Our public information will be part of that, so that we're getting that information out. We've been encouraging people both inside the department and outside, as the Mayor talked about, not only plan your trips, but if you don't have to take a trip, probably good not to be out there with all the other congestion that's going to be there. But in the event that there are any incidents, we've got our forces, we've got them pre-staged in key locations. They're ready to react to anything. We've been through storms, we've been through Super Bowls, we've been through a lot of things. As the Mayor said, this is probably bigger than all that, but we're up to the challenge and we've got our forces ready to go. So we look forward to a successful convention, and we're going to put a good face on the Florida Department of Transportation, the City of Tampa, and all of the Tampa Bay region.
Obviously, the next woman needs no introduction. She and I think, are going to go away on a long vacation when this is all over. Our great police chief, Jane Castor. Jane.
Thanks, Mayor. As everyone has said, we have been planning for this event for quite some time. One of the many benefits of holding this convention in the Tampa Bay area is the outstanding working relationships that we have. And you're here basically in the transportation hub where all of the information is going to come in and be vetted, decisions made that will be in the best interest of the entire community and of all of our commuters. Next to some of the crowd management issues that we have, transportation is by far the biggest issue that we'll be dealing with during the next 5 days. As we have asked everyone before, please show a great deal of patience, know before you go, and we are communicating as much information in real time that we can that can make traffic concerns and getting about throughout the downtown area and frankly throughout the Tampa Bay area as easy as possible on everyone. And we are working to that end 24 hours a day to the end of the convention. So we thank everybody for their patience, and their cooperation, and please know before you go. We have plenty of information out there on the website, tampagov.net/RNC. We have Alert Tampa. We're putting out real-time traffic information via Alert Tampa. And so we just ask everyone to take a few minutes, know before you go, and we will get through this event together, and it will reflect very, very positively on the Tampa Bay area. Thank you.
Any questions?
What challenges or with Tropical Storm Isaac expected to be hitting the first day, challenges or adjustments that you've had to make heading into that?
Well, none yet. We anticipate that there will be tropical storm warnings. We, as Floridians, are accustomed to dealing with this, and just for the record, Isaac is not a Tampanian. He's not even a Floridian. He is a distraction. And so we're going to deal with it. I mean, we'll make the appropriate preparations. It's a fluid situation. I mean, it literally will change by the hour. A lot will be determined by the wind gusts. I don't anticipate there'll be a lot of tidal surge that will affect the convention per se. There may be some exposure on the bridges to some of the high winds. But again, all of that will be determined on literally an hour-by-hour basis as the forecast comes in, as we see in real time what the challenges are. I mean, ultimately, we will be flexible. We will be fluid. We will adapt on the run if need be in terms of the logistics of moving the delegations, because as all of you know, many of the delegates are staying on the Pinellas side of the bay. And so, there'll be 400 buses that will be deployed to help move those delegations. And so we will deploy them accordingly based on what the weather conditions are. We're hopeful that nothing will change in the transportation plan. But if it does change because of extenuating circumstances, we'll be ready.
Could those routes change, or the alternate routes, the closures, any of that change, or what you have now, is that going to stay and it's just going to be adjusted?
Well, certainly the closures in downtown will not change. The routes may change for the delegations and the delegation movement, depending on the weather circumstances. But in terms of the road closures in the city proper, that is all. It is what it is. It's not going to change. What you see downtown is exactly what will remain downtown. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about where the storm is now and what time you think it's really going to hit Tampa? And is it going to be early in the morning or late in the evening? Or do you have
Well, I never expected when I took the oath of office that I'd be playing weatherman. But I've had to learn over the last couple days, and I'm not particularly skilled at it, so I won't do the hypothetical. All I know is what has been reported. It appears as though, based on what I just saw when I left the house, that potentially it could be north of 100 miles off the coast of Tampa, moving through on Monday. So there will be some rain occurrences. There'll be some wind on Monday. To what level that gets will be determined by the storm, obviously. But we're preparing in any event. We live down here in Florida. We prepare as a matter of course. We train our citizens how to react to this, and we encourage them to create their hurricane list and to do everything that we need to do in advance of this. So it will all be determined by how the storm, the velocity, the duration. I mean, what we hope is if it comes through quickly and it doesn't hover out there. Because when it hovers in that counterclockwise motion, then it pushes a lot more water up through the bay. If it moves quickly, then that's much less of a problem.
You're not expecting tidal situations?
I think, no, not tidal surge of any significance, certainly not on the Tampa side. The areas that are prone to flooding will probably have standing water anyway, because you could get 5 inches to 8 inches of rain. So those low-lying areas in the Tampa Bay area will probably have standing water regardless. I don't anticipate any tidal surge in the vicinity of downtown Tampa around the convention center. I don't think the convention proceedings will be disrupted at all. There may be some logistical movements, but that's par for the course. Very fluid environment. Yeah, Rick.
A question about the Selman Expressway, which is one of your biggest closures. Where do you expect that traffic to go, and where do you hope that it goes?
Well, I have found over the years that traffic is like water. It tends to find its own path. Just like when we closed the Platte Street Bridge for 3 months, all of the traffic seemed to find a way within the first 2 days to go where they needed to go. I think that will largely happen with the Selman Expressway as well. As many of you know, it will be closed at 50th Street and closed at Willow northbound and southbound. So I think folks coming in from Brandon, but the upper deck will be open. So the folks coming in from Brandon will either use the upper deck. We will continue to use the reversible strategy that we use on a daily basis anyway for the upper deck. So they will get off at 50th Street, I would imagine, go down Adamo, and then find their way through the city into the downtown environment.
And then conversely, you can get off at Willow as well.
Yeah, you will have to get off at Willow if you're coming from St. Pete into downtown. You can get on Kennedy Bridge. Kennedy Bridge will be open into downtown. And for those folks that are just moving around, the Hyde Park area, it's fairly easy to get around. There shouldn't be any impediments. Platt Street Bridge will be closed. I'm sorry, Mitch.
Sorry. There's a lot less parking spaces available in downtown Tampa today than there was 3 days ago. But there's some events going on in importance to the convention this weekend. Do you encourage people to drive into downtown Tampa? Or?
Well, I mean, obviously everyone has to make their own decision, Mitch. There are parking spaces available. There are parking garages that are open. We encourage people to come downtown. I encourage folks to come down and experience democracy at the sidewalk level. I want our citizens to enjoy this and to be proud of what Tampa is accomplishing. So, it will be challenging. I mean, we've acknowledged that from the beginning. You probably will have to walk further than you normally would, and we encourage everyone, as Chief Castor said, just plan accordingly. Take the appropriate time in advance to get where you need to go, and we're going to be fine.
Don, will there be managed lanes for buses coming across from Pinellas or on any of the interstates?
There will not be managed lanes for the buses, but we have been working very closely with the folks who are responsible for transporting the delegates. And again, we've pre-positioned our crews to make sure that there are no impedances to getting people to and from the convention. But there will not be any managed lanes open for this convention.
Could you talk a little bit about how the buses will get through downtown once they get off the interstate? Are they going to be ushered through real quickly by traffic enforcement?
Again, a lot of that is being led by the Secret Service, and so they've got their own routes, and we're just responsible for making sure that the pathways are open and unimpeded to the extent that we can.
What are you expecting Monday morning in terms of delays? Because you can tell people as many times that you want to check things, but they still will go out there and not know where they're going.
There's going to be some challenges. Monday morning, I think the events start in the afternoon, so Monday morning, the morning rush shouldn't be that much affected. We're not expecting morning rushes to be any issues at all. Evening is going to be where you'll see some of the activities going on, but again, we stand ready to make our ways as safe and open as possible.
As a traffic reporter, I rely on the FDOT cameras. They're my best resource. Am I still going to have access to those for my traffic reports? And is the Florida 511 website with the thumbnail images still going to be available for us to monitor?
The systems that we have in place are still going to be operational and in place. So everything that we've had, in fact, we're using those very same systems to be able to communicate. This traffic information command center, it's got the phone bank. That's what this center is supposed to do, is make sure we enhance that communication so that if there are incidents, and we're using the cameras to know where some of those incidents are, that the communication's right here, that we can deploy whoever we need to deploy to open those passageways up.
Yeah, Don. Can you talk about areas where you might see some bottlenecks and efforts that you guys might be taking to alleviate any potential bottlenecks there?
Again, I think the normal congestion is going to be there, and we're adding a lot of visitors to our area. So wherever you have normal congestion, you can see that increasing. Certainly, we're focusing on our major arterials in the interstate system, making sure that those facilities remain open and unimpeded. So we have, again, pre-positioned our forces and working with all of our partners to make sure that we can react to anything on those critical arteries to make sure that those are free-flowing.
One question about Tampa Street in particular. My understanding is that southbound traffic on Tampa Street, as it gets to Whiting, is going to go in one of three different directions. Straight, if it's going into the parking garage. To the right, if there are people going to be dropping off visitors to the convention campus, and then left if you're going to Fort Brooke. And there'll also be a checkpoint near Fort Brooke and Franklin, I think. Do you expect Tampa Street to be a particular area of congestion as a result of, you know, all those cars and trucks moving through there?
On Monday morning obviously is going to be the most difficult day of the week, just because, as the mayor has said, you know, it's going to be the first day, and we're everyone has to get used to the new routes. But we do anticipate that there will be some slowdowns dealing with the garages, and that's the monthly parkers that you said go straight ahead, and then you have the hourly that will be turning into making a left into the Fort Brooke garage. So yes, that's going to be an issue for everyone, and that's why we're asking, especially on Monday, for the patients. But we have the plans for everyone coming off of the elevated roadway to get them. We'll have officers stationed at all of these intersections to try to keep this flow as fluid as possible. And then also at 50th to get individuals through to I-4 as quickly as possible. They obviously can choose to go down 60, but we're going to try to send them north on 50th to I-4 and then come down through the junction.
So you would recommend, because those elevated lanes are a great resource to head directly into downtown, but you would recommend still detouring, or do you recommend the elevated lanes?
No, we definitely want those coming from the Brandon area, as many people as possible that use the crosstown, whether it's the lower or upper deck. We would encourage them to use the upper deck if their destination is downtown, to use that, and we will have officers stationed so that we can get them through that process as quickly as possible.
And the entrance ramps near 301 also will be open into downtown?
Yes.
Is what I understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, sure.
This is for the chief. Would you recommend that if people who aren't working downtown, they don't have to be downtown, to not come downtown?
Well, we have said all along that this is an event for our community to enjoy as well. And so we aren't discouraging anyone from coming down. Monday may be a day that you may want to pick a day other than Monday, because Monday's the day when everybody's going to have to get used to it. It's the first day back to work. It's the first day of the road closures. And so, as the mayor said, the traffic tends to find its way, but it takes a little while for them to find the way. So Monday will, in our estimation, will be the most difficult.
One last thing, just quickly. These images are changing in the background. How many different views do you have from this room?
I'm not sure the specific number of views that we have in here, but the reason they change is because we have a lot of area to cover along the interstate system. And so we want to make sure that our operators can see every bit of interstate and coverage area where we have cameras. And so the more that it can change and we can see an incident that occurs, the quicker we can react to it.
Can you see downtown too? Or just the interstate system from here?
We mainly keep the cameras on the interstate system. We have a camera that's in the vicinity of the downtown interchange. So it has some capabilities, but we are trying to keep the traffic moving and respond to incidents on the interstate system.
But for the purposes of the transportation hub, those feeds will be here.
Yeah.
Everyone will be able to see all of the cameras.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Be careful out there.
Yep.